Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to be talking about luck, but maybe not in the way that you expect. Luck is a word that's tossed around very loosely in photography, often in response to seeing someone's amazing photo where they caught a unique moment, often followed by a, wow, that was a lucky shot. While there can be some element of chance that falls into your lap, my view is that photographers who consistently deliver great results are working under this definition of luck, laboring under correct knowledge. Pro golfer Gary Player once said in response to someone saying he was lucky, "It's funny, the more I practice, the luckier I get." In this video, I'm going to share with you the top techniques that photographers who consistently deliver are using to exploit the opportunity when it arrives. That is, make their own luck. And if you stay till the end, I'll give you a bonus tip, one that allowed me to get this photo and that without this technique, I wouldn't have gotten the shot. My name is Simon D'Entremont. I'm a professional nature and wildlife photographer living in Eastern Canada. I make weekly videos giving you photo tips or taking you behind the scenes for nature and wildlife photography. Subscribe if you want to see more. The best photographers study and are experts in light. They also know how to get into the best position to take advantage of it. They understand in detail what it does to the subject, to the scene, and how the camera records it. They get up before dawn to be on location right at sunrise and take advantage of the golden hour. That is the hour right after sunrise. Or they get on location late in the day to get the golden hour right before sunset. They avoid the noon, harsh midday sun. By being experts in light and what it does, they'll most likely find themselves in the right situation shooting from the right angle when something interesting happens. Either the sun behind them, or a backlit subject, or the shade being thrown into their photo at the right place. It's unbelievable how lucky you'll feel when you're at the right place at the right time when something really interesting happens. Experienced photographers analyze the scene with a quick glance. Where is the light coming from? What's my subject? What's the foreground and the background? What are the supporting lines and structures that add to my photo? And from what angle can I best capture these if something interesting happens? I spotted the snowy owl right before sunset. I knew that backlighting when the sun is high and harsh is not a great scenario, but when it's low on the horizon behind your subject, it can make an amazing photo. While I knew backlighting would be an amazing situation, how to take best advantage of it? When I moved a little bit too far to the right, I lost the beautiful glow of the sunset. When I moved a little bit too far to the left, I just got a silhouette. I found myself in the just right position, and lucky me, when the bird took off, I got this beautiful photo. By critically observing the scene and understanding where the light is coming from, experienced photographers have a way of finding the right position, the right angle for the shot, and angle and perspective is everything in photography. For this shot, the sky was dark and moody, but I could see a thin sliver of clear sky on the horizon. I thought to myself, if the sun could come out just for a few seconds, I could make a great sun star when putting it up against the corner of this lighthouse. I set myself up in position and waited. I set my camera to f16, a small aperture which maximizes the look of a sun star. I also set my camera to bracket 3 exposures. I also set up my camera on a 2-second timer, and I got ready. When the sun did come out, I was ready. All I needed to do was move 6 inches to the left and took a series of photos. It's the one you see back here. So to implement this tip, when you get to a scene, always pay attention to where the light is coming from and think to yourself, where can I best position myself to take advantage of the direction of the light and the scene that's in front of me? Tip number 2 is that photographers who seem lucky know the winning conditions for their favorite shot and know how to set them up. They think about their shots even before getting on location. They may not plan every shot, but locations are chosen strategically to improve the odds that lucky things will happen. Potential subjects, times of year, weather conditions, their choices are rarely random. It took me 4 years to get this photo after I first envisioned it. I needed to be at the end of this hiking trail at night, at the time of the month with a new moon, when there was clear weather, in September so that the Milky Way was aligned in the perfect position, and shot exactly when a car drove by on the road below to get the long streaks of the lights. Boy, how lucky was I that this all came together for me. The luckiest photographers also know what events and conditions foreshadow a great opportunity. They know that they'll get a great shot right after or during while this happens. For me as a wildlife photographer, getting lucky means walking on the upwind side of a pond full of birds. That's because birds, like airplane, need to take off into the wind. If I want to be photographing the front of the birds as they take off and land, I want to be on the upwind side as it makes the best photos. How lucky was I to get this photo? Do you have a secret in your genre of photography that precedes getting the great shot? Let me know in the comments below. I'm always looking to learn. Maybe you're a street photographer that goes to your favorite street at sunset that runs east-west so you can get a beautiful effect of the sun coming down the street. Or maybe you go out in bad weather purposefully, knowing it creates great conditions for your type of photography, like for me, photographing bald eagles in the snow. Or maybe even waiting for fog to take photos of your favorite tree. To implement this tip, make a list of locations and winning conditions that would lead to the most amazing photo you can think of. Then try to align your timing of going to that location with your winning conditions to see if you can have something magical happen. Tip number 3 is that lucky photographers try more and they fail more. At one point in the National Football League, the same quarterback had the record for the most touchdowns and the most interceptions. It comes from trying more. I'm lucky that I've taken many good photos in my photography career, but I know something else. I've taken lots of bad ones. I've taken over 1 million photos in the last 7 years, and I know that many of them aren't much. Pictures of branches, leaves, open blue sky, the background in focus and not my subject, or my subject looking the wrong way or already run out of the scene. I've seen it all. I laid on the beach a long time and took several hundred photos of this loon eating crabs before I got the one shot where the crab was evenly spaced between the upper and lower mandible and that the loon was sideways to me. This allowed me to capture this lucky moment. For these tree swallows following each other around, I had to take over 1,000 photos just to get 2 photos where both birds were close to each other in the scene and both in focus. To implement this tip, you just need to get out there more often. And you may be thinking, if I go out twice as often, I'll have twice the chance of catching my favorite shot. Actually, I think you'll have 4 times the chance, because every time you go out, you'll learn something new about the winning conditions that will lead to your favorite shot. And even if you almost get your favorite shot, you will improve the odds that the next time you won't miss the opportunity. The next tip is that photographers who are consistently lucky often have good gear, but they fuss less with their gear than novice photographers. They learn to effectively use it and then use it as a tool without even thinking about it. Give them any similar set of tools and they'll still come out with great results. Learn your camera's settings and capabilities, set it up to take advantage of these capabilities, and then stop fussing with it. Whether it's setting up back button focus, learning to shoot in aperture or shutter priority, or shooting in manual with auto ISO, or how to quickly change your autofocus points for different situations. When a magic moment happens, you want instinct to take over, not your brain thinking about settings. And don't look at the back LCD of the camera while out in the field to see whether or not you got the shot. I missed many opportunities this way because the most likely time of action to happen is right after the last action. Some other photographers and I were photographing an amazing scene of seals, whales, eagles, feeding off a fish migration when something jumped out of the water. Rather than check my camera to see whether or not I'd captured the first jump, I put my camera on the same spot and hoped it would jump again. I was lucky enough to capture this footage of a thresher shark jumping out of the water to try to dislodge a lamprey on its side. A photographer next to me missed this because they were checking on the back of the camera to see whether or not they'd caught the first jump. And here's my bonus tip. Lucky photographers will have the settings for fast action on their camera while they're walking to and from or around their location. All too often while photographing wildlife, something will fly right in front of us. I get a number of shots, turn to my friends and say, "Did you get that?" They say, "No, I didn't have the right shutter speed." When you're walking around, put your camera in the settings that you need to capture fast action. That way, if something unexpected happens, you can capture it. If you come across a static target, you can always change your setting back. You'll have all the time in the world, but it doesn't work the other way around. You can't have your settings for static targets while you're walking around and then take advantage of fast action. This photo was totally unexpected by me, but I had my camera ready for some fast action. I noticed this duck dunking its head underwater. I knew it would stand up in the water and flap off the excess water. When it happened, I was ready because I had a back button programmed for fast action. All I needed to do was get down on the ground and hit the shutter button. If you're interested, I have a video on what I call the emergency button for Canon cameras. I'll put a link to the video up here. So to implement this tip, when you're walking around, have your camera set to your action settings, a high shutter speed, multiple focus points, and autofocus continuous. You can program this to a custom programmable button or to a back button or just manually set the settings. When something happens, you'll be ready. Remember that the more you try and the more prepared you are, the better the odds that something lucky will happen to you. When it does, and your friends say, "Boy, you were lucky," remind them that you were laboring under correct knowledge. See you next time.